Alright, so we're on to this phase of the build out. The first phase of the build out is to prep my space. So yes, for the most part I've got it figured out, but I want to make it a little bit more user friendly. So for instance, I'm going to be moving that dresser that we're storing out here, and I'm just going to be moving a bunch of this stuff to give me the most amount of space. So here we go, cleaning out the garage. This next thing that we're going to do, if you see right here, that thing is a pommel horse for my son's gymnastics, and it's super heavy. So right now we're not really setting it up, and so we're going to store it or sell it or something like that, but it's probably easily 200 pounds each piece. So that metal piece back there and then the main pommel horse piece are probably easily 200 pounds each. So I'm gonna move that out of the way just to make it more accessible. So what you see here is I was able to salvage a bunch of the lumber and the plywood that I used on my previous wall, and so a lot of this is actually going to get repurposed and reused. There are a few lengths of framing that I don't have yet, so I am going to have to go to the hardware store and get some. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just go through what I do have here in lumber and match that up with my plans and see what I can reuse and set that aside, and then we'll go to the hardware store and get the rest of the stuff. Alright, so now I think I got all the wood that is reusable organized, and those blue pieces of plywood are going to be used in a future iteration when we have our own place. That's going to go for a system board type wall. Got the plywood ready that we're going to use, got the dimensional lumber ready that we're going to use, and we're pretty much cleaned up. The only part I have left to clean up is this front area here, but I'll give you a little teaser here. That is a giant tote full of holds, smaller tote full of holds. This purple one is another giant tote full of holds, and another smaller one full of holds. Got the volume we brought back, one of the 3 volumes I brought with me, and the hangboard's going to go up, and it's going to be epic. Alright, session 2 of the wall build is today. We're going to just do some of the simpler stuff and some more, I would call it preparatory stuff. We're not really going to see walls go up, but did want to let you know that I ended up going to the hardware store and getting a few of the remaining pieces of lumber in the lengths that I'm going to need, and I ended up getting new saw blade. And so the first piece here is we want to start with a nice sharp saw blade so that we're being efficient and getting some straight cuts. So this first thing I'm doing is taking this 2x6 here. It's going to be part of the base frame, and so the base frame is just meant, since it's going to be A-frame, all the weight is going to be coming down and it's going to be supporting itself, the shape of the A. But what I don't want, the main thing I don't want, is I don't want the legs of that A to splay out, and so I'm building just a base frame. It's just a box that's gonna keep everything in a nice rectangular shape. So what I'm going to do now is I just cut these other pieces with the same angle here. We're going to butt those up together, but not until what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking out a notch of this 2x12 here, exactly the same here, and literally this 2x12, actually both of these are going to sit right on top of here, and so that'll actually be the connection point. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2x12s and we're going to screw them together, and that way it'll make it 3 inches thick. And this is going to end up, in case you haven't figured out, this is going to end up being the kickboard. So I've used this in the past. I think we talked about it in a previous video, where this is just the kickboard that I use screw-on jibs for, and it ends up working out really nicely, and I feel that's way better than building a dedicated kickboard and all that good stuff. So that's what this is going to end up being. So I'm going to screw those together there, and then what we'll do is we'll take and we will mount the last piece of our base to that, nice and strong. We'll flip it back up, and then we'll connect it to the existing piece of base. All right, there we have it. We got the base frame. So this is going to keep anything from splaying out, even though I'm pretty sure those cabinets and this desk thing here, we're going to keep it from splaying at all, but this is just going to keep it in place at the bases. So that'll be the end of this video here. In the next video, what we'll be doing is we're going to be building the ceiling portion. So then we'll be ready to start connecting the two other walls. So we're going to actually build the ceiling portion and kind of install it in a temporary setup up here before we do the 15-degree wall, just so there's something to attach it to, and I don't have to have, you know, multiple people holding up walls while I attach it. I'm just going to do a temporary attachment point, but it is still going to be completely freestanding as far as load bearing. I'll see you in the next video.